This is the latest news now you are going to watch. I still remember I'm the only Onyame Jesus, an Hollywood actor and the top content creator. Don't forget. I beg, make this video go viral so that many will not fall victim. Who next? Watch.
On July 24th, 2025, the Päijät-Häme District Court in Finland confirmed that no concrete evidence had been found linking Simon Ekpa to illegal arms transportation into Nigeria. Despite prosecutors presenting digital communications, the court found no transactional records or verified evidence supporting the claims. Simon Ekpa was seen celebrating in court as this development strongly favored his case, marking a major turning point in his prolonged legal battle in Finland, which began on May 30th, 2025. The United States of Biafra, USB government, sent official open letters to Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa, demanding that Nigerian forces vacate Biafran territory, calling their presence illegal and oppressive. On July 22, 2025, a major pro-Biafran event took place in the southeastern region of Nigeria for the first time in over 30 years, with massive public displays of Biafran flags, street celebrations, and calls for independence. A flyer from the USB Deputy Prime Minister's office sparked backlash after her image appeared significantly larger than Simon Ekpa's and other leaders. Critics accused her of self-promotion, but her supporters defended the design, noting it came from her department. Yoruba Nation agitator Sunday Igboho publicly begged the Nigerian government to remove his name from the wanted list, expressing a desire to stop separatist activism and instead support security efforts in the southwest. A respected Igbo monarch, Prince Chukwuzumba, called for the immediate release of Nnamdi Kanu, describing him as the heart of the Igbo people and crucial to ending insecurity, herdsman violence, and displacement in the southeast. A UK-based Igbo businessman, Zube Global, petitioned Ebonyi State Governor Francis Nwifuru to rename 18 streets in Abakaliki that bear Anambra names. This came after Anambra reportedly renamed a street formally honoring an Igbo heritage. The US government warned its citizens against traveling to Nigeria due to rising insecurity, terrorism, poor healthcare, and rampant kidnappings, listing several high-risk states, including Imo, Abia, and Anambra. On July 24, 2025, something significant happened in Finland that sent waves across continents. At the Päijät-Häme District Court, Simon Ekpa, a controversial figure tied to the Biafra independence movement, celebrated openly in the courtroom after the judge ruled that there was no concrete evidence linking him to the illegal transportation of arms into Nigeria. It was a moment many had been waiting for. His supporters erupted in joy, while critics of the Biafran movement were left stunned. This case, which had begun on May 30th, 2025, had attracted international attention due to its sensitive geopolitical implications and the increasing tensions between Nigeria and pro-Biafran activists living abroad. The core issue in the story revolves around the serious allegation that Simon Ekpa had somehow facilitated or been involved in the illegal supply of weapons into Nigeria. This was not just a legal issue, but a diplomatic and security one, especially because Nigeria has been grappling with rising violence, insurgency, and the activities of pro-secessionist groups. The Nigerian authorities were keen on linking Simon to armed violence and separatist militancy. However, the Finnish court needed more than suspicion and media speculation to convict him. Prosecutors brought in digital communication records and tried to suggest there was a secret web of transactions connecting Simon to weapon smuggling. But when the court examined all the evidence presented, it found no verifiable transaction, no bank records, no video evidence, and no direct testimony that could conclusively prove Simon Ekpa's involvement in arms movement. That lack of hard proof made it impossible for the court to uphold the charges. So the judge had no choice but to declare that the case lacked merit. This lack of evidence raises an important question. Why did the case reach court in the first place? What provoked such serious allegations if there was no clear evidence to support them? The answer lies partly in politics, fear, and perception. Simon Ekpa is not just another citizen living in Finland. He is one of the most prominent faces of the new Biafran agitation, often making fiery speeches online, calling for civil disobedience in Nigeria and accusing the Nigerian state of oppression. His voice, amplified through social media, has become a thorn in the side of Nigerian authorities. Many within the country blame his calls for shutdowns and protests for stirring unrest, especially in southeastern states like Imo and Abia. For the Nigerian government, bringing a case against him, even abroad, seemed like a step toward cutting down the influence of his activism. But without proper legal backing and evidence, it ended up becoming more of an embarrassment than a victory. After the court's verdict, Simon Ekpa was seen smiling, hugging his legal team, and later addressing supporters who had gathered outside the courtroom. He said it was a victory not just for him, but for all those who believe in justice and the right to express political opinions without being hunted or falsely accused. His supporters, many of whom had flown in from different European countries, cheered with pride. Some waved flags of the United States of Biafra, while others danced and sang Biafran freedom songs. It was a symbolic moment, as it validated their claims that the Nigerian state had gone too far in trying to criminalize their leader without a valid case. The celebration was not limited to Finland. Back in Nigeria, the United States of Biafra, a self-declared government in exile with Simon Ekpa as its leading voice, sent official letters to Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa. These letters accused the Nigerian military of occupying Biafran territory illegally and demanded their immediate withdrawal. They claimed that the Nigerian forces were operating in southeastern Nigeria without the consent of the indigenous people and that their presence was oppressive, causing fear, displacement, and violence in local communities. These letters were bold and confrontational, reflecting the newfound confidence that came with Simon's courtroom victory. 2 days before this, on July 22nd, something even more historic happened. For the first time in more than 30 years, the streets of southeastern Nigeria saw an open pro-Biafra event. The air was filled with chants of "Freedom for Biafra," and massive Biafran flags were hoisted publicly without fear. Streets were filled with parades, dance groups, and youth chanting slogans in support of independence. This was unprecedented in recent times because Nigerian security agencies had long suppressed any such gathering, considering them as acts of rebellion. But on this day, the people felt emboldened. The joy was contagious. Market women closed their stalls to join in the celebration. Elderly men shared stories from the original Biafra War of the 1960s, and young people danced with painted faces and Biafran colors. It felt like the dream of an independent Biafra had found a new heartbeat. However, this sense of unity was briefly interrupted by a controversy over a flyer promoting the event. The flyer, issued from the office of the United States of Biafra Deputy Prime Minister, showed her picture much larger than that of Simon Ekpa and other leaders. This angered some people, who saw it as a selfish attempt at self-promotion. Critics accused her of trying to overshadow Simon and present herself as the new face of the movement. Her supporters defended her, saying the flyer design came from her office and wasn't meant to offend anyone. They argued that focus should remain on the bigger picture, which is the fight for Biafran self-determination. Still, the issue exposed a sensitive point: leadership rivalry. In any political movement, personality clashes can arise, and the Biafran struggle is not immune to this. Elsewhere in Nigeria, the air was also thick with tension, but of a different kind. Sunday Igboho, the well-known Yoruba nation agitator, made a surprising public appeal, begged the Nigerian government to remove his name from the wanted list. Sunday, who once led loud protests demanding Yoruba independence, said he no longer wanted to be seen as a threat to the Nigerian state. He now wanted to focus on helping to improve security in the southwestern region and support dialogue instead of agitation. His tone was much softer than in previous years, and many wondered whether he was being sincere or just tired of being hunted. Some also asked whether his new position was due to fear, political negotiation, or simply a shift in personal ideology. Whatever the case may be, it showed a contrast to Simon Ekpa's situation. While one activist was gaining strength in court and on the streets, another was stepping back. Another development that stirred emotions came from the southeast again. A respected Igbo traditional ruler, Prince Chukwuzumba, made a passionate plea for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. Prince Chukwuzumba called Kanu the heart of the Igbo people, and said his continued detention was one of the main reasons insecurity was escalating in the southeast. He blamed the violence from herdsmen, kidnappings, and displacement of families on the lack of a central figure who could speak to the people and calm the situation. He believed that only Nnamdi Kanu had the power to unite the people and restore peace. His call was met with mixed reactions. Supporters of Nnamdi Kanu welcomed it and praised the monarch's courage. But government officials and some security analysts warned that releasing Kanu could reignite separatist tensions. Meanwhile, a businessman based in the United Kingdom, Zube Global, sparked debate by petitioning the Ebonyi State Governor, Francis Nwifuru. He wanted 18 streets in Abakaliki, the capital of Ebonyi State, to be renamed. These streets, according to him, had names honoring towns and figures from Anambra State. He felt this was disrespectful to Ebonyi's own heritage, especially since a street that previously honored Igbo heritage in Anambra was recently renamed. Zube's petition touched on the long-standing quiet rivalry between states in southeastern Nigeria. Though united by ethnicity, the Igbo people have deep-rooted state and town loyalties that often create political and cultural tension. Finally, the US government issued a travel warning to its citizens, advising them not to travel to Nigeria due to security risks. The warning listed terrorism, poor healthcare, rampant kidnappings, and general insecurity as reasons. States like Imo, Abia, and Anambra were marked high risk. For Nigerians, especially those living in these states, this was not news. It was their reality. But the fact that the US government openly acknowledged it again cast a global spotlight on the deteriorating situation. The warning also created pressure on the Nigerian government to address these issues seriously. Now, let's return to the central issue, Simon Ekpa's court victory. What are the consequences of this ruling? First, it gives Simon more credibility in the eyes of his followers. He can now claim he was falsely accused and that foreign courts have vindicated him. Second, it emboldens the Biafra movement. When one of its top leaders defeats a major international legal case, it gives the entire movement momentum. Third, it complicates Nigeria's diplomatic relationship with Finland and potentially other European countries. If they cannot extradite or prosecute those calling for Biafra from abroad, then controlling the movement becomes even harder. As for possible solutions, the road is difficult but not impossible. Dialogue remains the best path forward. The Nigerian government needs to engage with leaders of the southeast, including traditional rulers like Prince Chukwuzumba, activists, and even ex-agitators like Sunday Igboho. Release or grant fair trial to Nnamdi Kanu. Create avenues for people like Simon Ekpa to express their views within the bounds of law. Strengthen local economies, invest in youth empowerment, and demilitarize sensitive areas so peace can return. But how close are we to these solutions? Honestly, we are still far. Mistrust runs deep.
Magam, you don't see him.